pledge as a company is that we do our part to listen, to learn, and to act. Coca-Cola is committed to making a difference in our communities.
The video you are about to watch is a sincere effort that demonstrates how a multinational corporation is bypassing the law, deceiving the authorities, and crushing the rights of one person. And as a result of many more, in a cowardly and cynical manner, in an abusive and deceitful way. Continuing with the story of Jose Antonio, the Mexican entrepreneur, whom throughout more than 10 years of work, developed GoGaba, this drink which, through its ingredients, is capable of reducing stress, improving performance and mental focus. September 2017, Jose Antonio was very close to what seemed to be the realization of his dreams, when the huge financial group BBVA Mexico introduced him to the giant, the Coca-Cola Company, and the latter confirmed its interest. After Jose Antonio met at the office's Coca-Cola with the president of the company in Mexico, the Spaniard, Manuel Arroyo Prieto, and vice president of the company, Coca-Cola requested a meeting to define jointly something. October 2017. During that meeting at the corporate tower of BBVA Mexico, multiple managers from different nationalities and from the highest ranks gathered to negotiate with Jose Antonio. Jordi Tacias Pitarch, Managing Director, Head of Corporate Finance, BBVA Mexico. Diego Julian Gramada Ramirez, Executive Director, Corporate Finance, BBVA Mexico. Luis Enrique de Almeida Resende, Financial Vice President of the Coca-Cola Company in Mexico. Jorge Fernandez Gonzalez Galatea, Finance Manager of the Coca-Cola Company in Mexico. Jose Antonio del Valle Torres, CEO of GoGaba. The interest of one of them, Luis Resende, was so much that he proposed to sign an agreement on a napkin, to be able to define something there and then. The bankers thanked the interest, but emphasized the importance of signing a contract. December 2017. After due negotiations, an agreement was signed. Coca-Cola insisted that it should be called Memorandum of Understanding, MOU. The same company that wanted to sign an agreement on a napkin called it now Memorandum. Jose Antonio was not worried about the title. In any case, it was a contract, which in writing conferred rights and obligations both to him and Coca-Cola. The terms were extremely clear, especially those that protected the Jose Antonio's industrial secret. Coca-Cola was bound by its own name and on behalf of all its related parties and affiliates, not to compete directly or indirectly with GoGaba. The obligation extended even to its shareholders, managers, and employees. It was also stipulated that Coca-Cola would contribute with a multidisciplinary team to be directed by Jose Antonio, who would bring his vision, direction, knowledge, experience, and know-how, in other words, his industrial secret. The agreement was signed by Juan Francisco Matorelli Hernandez as the legal representative of Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alta Gerencia, SRLDCV, SIAG, a subsidiary of the Coca-Cola Company in Mexico. January 2018. The team assigned to Jose Antonio was integrated by Arturo David Andrade Beltran, Marketing Director. Mauricio Antonio Ferreri Rodriguez, Finance Manager. Mariela Zapata Hernandez, Regulatory Affairs Manager. Jose Carlos Caballero Esperella, Trade Marketing Manager. Roberto Haddad Amor Arroyo, Supply Chain Manager. Eduardo Antonio Gonzalez Michaca, Category Development Senior Manager. Sarah Selena Garcia Perez, Consumer and Market Intelligence. The team would work hand in hand with the 4 vice presidents responsible for the main business areas of Coca-Cola in Mexico. Luis Enrique de Almeida Resende, Financial Vice President. Selman Curiaga Castro, Marketing Vice President. Marcelo Hill Palafox, Operations Vice President. Luis Manuel Galguera Rosas, Technical Vice President. April 2018. Only 4 months later, when Jose Antonio had already transferred all the confidential information that clearly represented important economic and competitive advantages to Coca-Cola, the previously mentioned legal representative, Matorelli Hernandez, began to push for the execution of a new agreement. Agreement for pilot test. entered into by Yasso S.A. de CV, hereinafter Yasso. Mr. Jose Antonio Valle, JAVT, on his own right and on behalf of Yasso on one side, and on the other side, Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alta Gerencia, S.de.RL de CV, hereinafter SIAG, herein by under the following representations and clauses. Additionally, this new agreement, as it was called, intended to impose on Jose Antonio conditions in an unfair and abusive manner, such as, there is no responsibility for SIAG, Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alta Gerencia, if such plans do not work. Any report, database, and/or information, content or material created under the pilot shall be the exclusive property of SIAG, Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alta Gerencia, which may share it totally or partially with Yasso and/or with Jose Antonio del Valle Torres. Yasso and Jose Antonio del Valle Torres agree and accept that all the promotional material must be approved between the parties, and once approved, it shall be the sole and exclusive property of SIAG, Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alta Gerencia, and/or its related companies, and many others. But most importantly, intending to remove the non-compete obligation agreed upon and established for Coca-Cola from the beginning in the mutually signed contract to also try to impose prohibitions not previously agreed with Jose Antonio. During the effective term of the pilot, and up to 30 months following the termination thereof, in case the relationship between Yasso and/or Jose Antonio del Valle Torres with SIAG, Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alta Gerencia does not continue. Both Yasso and Jose Antonio del Valle Torres agree not to negotiate or hire, directly or indirectly, a pilot similar to this one with any third party that implies direct competition for Coca-Cola, intending that everything which had been previously agreed and signed would fall under the mercy of this new contract, a new written agreement which was never referred to in the original contract, and therefore had no reason to be. The parties agree that the three aforementioned documents shall govern the relationship between them, where in case of any contradiction between the provisions of the three documents, the terms and conditions that shall survive are those of this agreement. Jose Antonio did not sign. May 2018. Some weeks later, and in complete violation of the non-competition obligation, Coca-Cola launched Fanta GABA in Japan through its bottler, Coca-Cola Bottlers Japan Inc., CCBJI, offering worldwide deliveries through at least one of its distributors. The product was also for sale in the worldwide e-commerce site eBay. Members of the Coca-Cola company who had been assigned to Jose Antonio knew about the launch of Fanta GABA, as they had witnessed it together within a space of Coca-Cola offices. Amongst them were David Andrade and Maurizio Ferrari, who had direct and close contact with at least one of the vice presidents of the company. Jose Antonio told the financial vice president, Luis Risande, and the financial director, Jorge Fernandez Gonzalez Galatea, as well as the legal representative, Juan Francisco Martorelli, the breach to the agreement, and the answer was concerning: a total ignorance of the event. June 2018. Weeks later, Luis Risande asked Jose Antonio for a change in the agreement so that it would apply only for Mexico.
Tenemos el MOU original, el Memorandum of Understanding original. Ese es el que queremos hacer algún ajuste ya. Y después el otro yo me lo voy a mirar en detalle para ver ahí, para dejar exclusivamente el que tenga que estar, ¿no? Todo lo que sea nice to have, eso vamos a tratar de verlo.
Recognizing the intellectual property behind GoGaba.
Ahí yo trataría, mira, solo para dar un ejemplo de cuál es el approach que yo tengo en mi cabeza. Ni hablar con ellos, pero mi primera pregunta a ellos es, oye, vamos a ver una cosa, aquí está claro que pues nosotros, de Coca-Cola System, no tiene cualquier propiedad, ya sea de la marca o ya sea del intellectual property, la formulación. Entonces, ya naturalmente eso ya está implícito de que cualquier tipo de reclamación desde el punto de vista del consumidor pues debería ser dirigida a los propietarios de esos activos.
Claro.
Y en principio, a donde voy es, eso es un nice to have o eso es un must have, para escuchar un poco la ponderación del lado de ellos. Y si me llegaron a tener una ponderación robusta de que no, eso es un must have por esa y esa razón, pues entonces ya entraría a ponderar y decir, oye, pero ¿por qué la persona, José Antonio, vino a eliminar esa tasa.
And with a touch, reduce the global applicability of the prohibition of non-competition of Coca-Cola to Mexico, recognizing also the fact that there was no equality in an intended new contract, which Coca-Cola had proposed to defraud Jose Antonio, under the excuse of documenting the pilot, offering him to make the new agreement more equitable, of course, as long as Jose Antonio agreed to reduce the global applicability of the non-competition prohibition to Mexico.
A ver, dos nuevas versiones del documento, de los dos documentos. Por un lado, el MOU original, y no hay nada que cambiar, nada más que dar un toque a esa cláusula de aplicabilidad del non-compete, digamos, o una cosa así, para el México. Y ese es un cambio rápido y se puede ya dejar hecho. Y también vais a rehacer un poco el documento, manteniendo la estructura de lo que creó Juan, dando ese toque que a ti te deja más tranquilo cuanto a la equidad, el balance de responsabilidades, y esas dos versiones, tú ya vienes aquí y te sientas con Juan a partir de la próxima semana.
Offering him an economic agreement in return. However, Luis asked Jose Antonio that the economic offer would not be documented. Why?
Bueno, a ver, solo un detalle, José Antonio, a ver qué te parece. Yo no pienso documentar lo otro, los acuerdos económicos que acabamos de decir. Y eso confía en mi palabra.
Making it clear that the highest levels of Coca-Cola were aware of the project.
Es más, es que yo quisiera que tú no confiaras en mi palabra, pero en mis comportamientos. Y no solo te vengo repitiendo consistentemente como yo creo que hasta más que el director de marketing que viste involucrado a ese proyecto, el director de operaciones, yo siendo el financiero, soy el que más tiempo estoy metido en todo eso, empujando, cuidando, sponsorizando, hablando con los niveles más altos.
Jose Antonio thought it through and decided that enough was enough. First the napkin, then a memorandum. After that, the pressure of signing an unequal and unfair new agreement. The launch of Fanta GABA, and now to reduce the global prohibition with the multinational had accepted an original contract to Mexico with an undocumented economic agreement, although the highest levels of the company knew about the project. This was a fraud. Jose Antonio rejected Luis's proposal, inviting Coca-Cola to honor the agreement they had signed. July 2018. Risande's written answer was to ignore the validity of the signed agreement through legally invalid, coward, and misleading arguments. Jose Antonio had no other choice but to file the criminal complaints before the Mexican authorities, Mexico's Attorney General's Office, FGR, and the Attorney General's Office of Mexico City, FGJ-CDMX, to initiate a legal process and the due investigations by such authorities. Go GABA was even expected to have a similar potential to Powerade, as David Andrade had already suggested, the previously mentioned marketing director, a product that generates annual income in excess of $8 billion. This is why this excited more than one, including Manuel Arroyo Prieto, president of Coca-Cola Mexico. As Resende and David Andrade told Jose Antonio several times, Marie Quintero Johnson, global vice president of mergers and acquisitions of Coca-Cola, was aware of the project. December 2018, the Mexican authorities ruled that Jose Antonio had suffered economic losses of approximately $345 million and formally subpoenaed the three key witnesses to testify, the previously mentioned vice presidents, Selman Carriaga, Marcelo Hill, and Luis Galguera, who did not show up. Throughout 2019, the Mexican authorities were again unable to obtain their testimonies, even though the public prosecutor had asked the location of their addresses to the investigation police. None of the three were in Mexico anymore. They had been transferred to work in their same functions as vice presidents for Coca-Cola in Brazil. Two of the four accused executives were also transferred out of Mexico. Jorge Fernandez Gonzalez Galatea was promoted to Costa Rica as financial director for the Central America and Caribbean region, Latin Center. and Manuel Arroyo Prieto himself was promoted to Singapore as president of the Asia-Pacific region. Within his new responsibilities, Arroyo Prieto took responsibility of the 5 business units of Coca-Cola within that region. Southeast Asia under Claudio Lorenzo, China and Korea under the direction of Curtis Ferguson, India and Southwest Asia under T. Karishnakumar, South Pacific under the direction of Vazi Mohan Tati, and Japan itself, where Fanta GABA had been launched months before, under the direction of Jorge Garduño. He also undertook the maximum responsibility on BIG, Bottling Investments Group, which is the group of bottling companies owned by Coca-Cola in the southeast and southwest of Asia and Africa, under the direction of Marcelo Boffi. HCCB, Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverage Pivot Limited, the largest Coca-Cola bottler in India, directed by Cristina Ruggiero, fell as well under the command of Manuel Arroyo Prieto. Basically, Jose Antonio's industrial secret was everywhere, and the main witnesses and accused executives in the criminal complaints as well. September 2020, currently and more than 2 years after the events, the 3 key witnesses, Salman Cariaga, Marcelo Hill, and Luis Galguera, have not yet testified, despite having been formally summoned several times by the authorities through official subpoenas. Salman Cariaga, after being appointed as marketing vice president in Brazil, was promoted within the Coca-Cola company as president of the sparkling drinks business unit, and was recently appointed a global category president. October 2020, Galia Freeman Molinas, whom until then was the president of Coca-Cola in Mexico, was subpoenaed twice by the Mexican prosecuting authorities. She did not present herself to either subpoena, sending instead the company's legal representative, expecting in this way to elude her responsibilities with the Mexican justice. Even more, in that period of 3 weeks between subpoena and subpoena, a number of Mexican media outlets announced the arrival of a new president for the company to Mexico. Roberto Mercader, whom roughly a month before had been confirmed to undertake another position in an official press release, President of Operations for Latin America. November 2020, notwithstanding the above, the official website of the Coca-Cola company continues showing Galia Freeman Molinas as President of Coca-Cola in Mexico. Manuel Arroyo Prieto, after being appointed president of the Asia-Pacific Business Unit in January 2019, was further promoted as Global Chief Marketing Officer in December 2019. Such position for many years had disappeared from the global structure of Coca-Cola and was reopened for Manuel Manolo Arroyo to occupy it, being the only one within the highest hierarchies of the Coca-Cola company to have a double role, reporting to Brian Smith, President and Chief Operations Officer for the Asia-Pacific region, and to James Quincy, Chairman and CEO, in relation with the company's global marketing. In the very own words of James Quincy, Arroyo's dual leadership over operations and marketing is a new structure for us, and we anticipate that it will evolve in the months ahead. Arroyo's focus will range from developing work that can be used around the globe to supporting local campaigns. Manuel Arroyo Prieto, accused of fraud and theft of industrial property in the framework of the criminal investigations, clearly had become the superstar of the Coca-Cola company after a management of less than 2 years in Mexico that ended with criminal complaints against the company. Why so many rewards? We are referring to the same Manuel Arroyo Prieto, who only 2 years before departing Mexico had been ceased as CEO from the Spanish multinational Diolio, an olive oil producer, which, to justify such decision, informed the National Securities Market Commission, CNMV, that they needed someone who has a more specialized profile in the efficient management of procedures and the control of costs. As if all the rewards to Manolo Arroyo were not enough, in September 2020, and as part of an additional restructuring, James Quincy decided to assign him a series of additional responsibilities by restructuring the company into 5 world categories. 1. Coca-Cola, presided by Salman Cariago Castro. 2. Carbonated flavors by Jasmine Vinculado. 3. Hydration, sports, coffee, and tea by Matrona Filippo. 4. Nutrition, juice, milk, and plants by Sedef Salingham Sahim. And 5. Emerging categories to be defined. Empowering even more the Singapore-based Manolo Arroyo. In other words, the leader of the 5 world categories of the Coca-Cola company was not based at the headquarters of Coca-Cola in Atlanta with the rest of the most senior executive leadership of Coca-Cola, but in Singapore. Another exception, Salman Cariaga, who had reported directly to Manuel Arroyo in Mexico, and after being sent to Brazil for some time, is now reporting again to Manuel Arroyo on a global scale. as he holds the responsibility of the most important brand of the company, Coca-Cola. In a company with tens of thousands of employees worldwide, the two Coca-Cola's Mexico-based high-ranking marketeers who understood well Jose Antonio's intellectual property, one of them accused in the criminal complaints, Manuel Arroyo Prieto, and the other one required as a witness, Salman Carriago Castro, after multiple promotions and roughly 2 years later, climbed to the top of the organization to lead the global marketing for the Coca-Cola company. Arroyo Prieto from Singapore, and Carriaga Castro from the headquarters in Atlanta, United States of America. Manuel Arroyo Prieto, Luis Enrique de Almeida Rizande, Jorge Fernandez Gonzalez Galatea, and Juan Francisco Martorelli Hernandez are still accused in the ongoing criminal investigations that began more than 2 years ago as a result of the criminal complaints filed by Jose Antonio. The testimonies of Salman Carriaga, Marcelo Gil, and Luis Galgaria are still pending, even when the Mexican authorities determine that they are necessary and indispensable for the investigation. The Coca-Cola company in Mexico since 2018, under the direction of Manuel Arroyo Prieto, hired the crime law firm Zinser Esponda y Gomez Mont to defend themselves in the criminal complaints filed by Jose Antonio against them, and the corporate law firm Ramirez Ornelas Abogados for Coca-Cola, in turn to file a lawsuit against Jose Antonio. For its part, Coca-Cola in Mexico since January 2019 fell under the direction of Galia Freeman Molinas, who substitute Manuel Arroyo. Freeman Molinas was nothing less than the Senior Vice President of Global Strategy and Insights. To date, she remains the Vice President of the Board of Directors, under the name of Galia Fanny Molinas, of one of the largest bottlers of the Coca-Cola system, Coca-Cola Isaac, the fifth largest Coca-Cola bottler based in Turkey. In time, it became clear that Coca-Cola had engaged the law firm of Fernando Gomez Mont Ureta, former Secretary of the Interior, during the government of former Mexican President Felipe Calderón Hinojosa, not only to defend them, but to try to incriminate Jose Antonio by deceiving and lying to the authorities. Additionally, it turned out that Luis Robles Santamarina, a partner at Ramirez Ornelas law firm, was the son of the former chairman of the board of BBVA Mexico. Robles Santamarina, along with Gerardo Manuel Ramirez Ornelas, better known as the Dragon, and a number of his partners were authorized by Coca-Cola to file a civil lawsuit against Jose Antonio as one more bullying method against the entrepreneur. Coca-Cola eventually would desist from its own writ of amparo, or final appeal, and thus contradicting itself in relation with their original claim. Coca-Cola, through its lawyers, continues to assert the same lies over and over again. In short, that the contract was valid only in Mexico, that there was no industrial secret, and that the parties did not reach an agreement despite Coca-Cola's willingness to do so. Lies that have been used to mislead the Attorney General's Office of Mexico City, headed by Attorney General Ernestina Godoy Ramos. The judicial power of Mexico City included the High Court of Justice, whose president is Magistrate Rafael Guerra Alvarez, and Mexico's General Attorney's Office, headed by Attorney General Alejandro Gertz Manero. The Coca-Cola Company additionally lied through the testimonies gathered in the United States of America of James Jim Murphy, Vice President of Global Venturing and Emerging Growth Platforms, and John Hackett, Global President of the Minute Maid Business Unit, obstructing in this manner the judicial investigations and perverting the course of justice. Jim Murphy, in his own words, is a seasoned leader with a proven track record of negotiating and implementing transformational projects and transactions globally, has deep CPG, consumer packaged goods knowledge, financial acumen, and leadership experience. Strong strategic thinker with a demonstrated ability to build robust relationships amongst franchises, financial players, strategic partners, customers, and industry peers. A flexible, collaborative leader and team-oriented player with experience in working in varied geographic, cultural, and different industry environments, both in roles reporting to a board of directors as well as acting as a director of a board. However, it turns out Jim Murphy was unaware of the entity Coca-Cola Bottlers Japan Inc., CCBJI, as he stated that the company has about 5 or 6 bottlers in Japan, and that he had not heard the name of such entity. On his part, John Hackett, as presented by Coca-Cola, having been the Senior Vice President of Global Juice, Dairy, and Plant-Based Beverages, as well as having led the Global Marketing, Strategy, and Insights Department, was unaware of that entity, Coca-Cola Bottlers Japan Inc., CCBJI, declaring that he was unfamiliar with the specific corporate entities with whom the Coca-Cola Company has commercial relations in Japan. It turns out that such entity, Coca-Cola Bottlers Japan Inc., CCBJI, directed by Callan Dragon, not only produces and distributes 90% of the products of the Coca-Cola system in Japan, but is as well the largest Coca-Cola bottler in all of Asia. Furthermore, Coca-Cola Japan, presided by Mexican Jorge Garduño, the only Japanese listed subsidiary of the Coca-Cola Company, in Form 10-K, before the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, is the largest shareholder of CCBJI, with 15.6% of the shares. Furthermore, Coca-Cola Company executives have an active presence in the corporate governance of CCBJI. Jennifer Mann, Senior Vice President and President of Global Ventures, and former Chief of Staff of James Quincy, in 2018 joined the corporate structure of CCBJI. In a similar way, and in the very least from the time of Fanta GABA's launch in Japan and until present times, John Murphy, Executive Vice President and Global Chief Financial Officer of the Coca-Cola Company, is a director in that entity, which was totally unknown to Hackett and Murphy. In that entity, completely unknown to the Coca-Cola veterans. There are also important shareholders, although not as big as the Coca-Cola Company itself, where Hackett and Murphy work, such as Mitsubishi Heavy Industries Machinery Systems Limited and the Master Trust Bank of Japan Limited, whose subsidiaries include companies such as Japan's flagship airline, Japan Airlines, and the largest insurance company in Japan, Tokyo Marine. Members of the work team assigned to Jose Antonio by Coca-Cola, who testified in Mexico as witnesses in January 2019, also lied to the authorities. David Andrade to cover up Manuel Arroyo, Coca-Cola's current global chief marketing officer, declaring that such person did not participate in the project since I did not present anything to him, nor did we talk about it. While others confirmed that they worked for a company named Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alternancia, SDRL-DCV, deceiving the authorities by stating in their declarations that this company was not Coca-Cola. When asked why their emails ended in @coca-cola.com, Jose Carlos Caballero answered that because some of the brands we work for belong to Coca-Cola. And Roberto Aymor, a simple and cynical, I don't know the reason. Servicios Integrados de Administración y Alternancia, the entity that signed the contract with Jose Antonio, and a company that employed Mexico-based executives implicated in the matter, is a direct subsidiary of the Coca-Cola Company, a company domiciled in the state of Delaware and with its headquarters in the state of Georgia. According to Form 10-K submitted by Coca-Cola to the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States of America, in the same Form 10-K that as well recognizes Coca-Cola Japan, the main shareholder of CCBJI, amongst the direct subsidiaries of the Coca-Cola Company. Dishonesty, deception, and abuse have become the familiar face of a business enterprise that claims to sell happiness, whilst showing us that a code of business conduct, titled by themselves Integrity, means nothing in the context of this story, but became a clear example of ambition, deception, lies, abuse, and cover-up by one of the world's most iconic corporations, the Coca-Cola Company. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Warren Buffett.
Our company must play a visible and proactive role in creating the change that is desperately needed. More progress must be made. It is our duty. Thank you.
Mexican entrepreneurs' fraud and theft complaint is without merit, the U.S. company says. Financial Times.
Es más, yo quisiera que tú no confiaras en nada más, pero en mis comportamientos.
Coming soon, Opening Corruption.